Friends, in this video we will see questions from production engineering, production technology for your AE Genco TS. The carbide tools operating at very low cutting speeds below 30 meters per minute. What they do? What is going to happen with this? Reduce the tool life. Reduce the tool life. So tool life equation is V T to the power of N is equal to constant, correct? Where V is the cutting speed and T is the tool life in minutes. V is the cutting speed in meters per minute, T is the cutting tool life in minutes, and N is the constant, and C is also another constant. This is called famous Taylor's equation, tool life equation. So it is inversely proportional. V and T are inversely proportional to each other. The type of reamer used for reaming operation in a blind hole is which type of reamer? Reaming is basically a finishing operation. So to finish a hole, which is normally rough after the drilling, it is used. But which type of? Right hand spiral fluted reamer. Right hand. Right. Stellite preserves hardness up to a temperature of. Stellites are modern cutting tools which have very good tool life at high temperatures. So now they retain their tool life or they preserve the hardness, their hardness. A cutting tool has to be necessarily hard for cutting different hard materials. So the stellite tools, they preserve hardness up to which temperature? It is up to 1100 degrees centigrade, very high. High speed steel tools retain their hardness up to a temperature of, they resist their temperature retaining hardness, temperature is a little less, 900. For machining a mild steel workpiece using carbide tool, the maximum material will be removed at a temperature of which temperature? It will be at 100 degrees centigrade, 100 degrees centigrade. In CNC, computer numeric controlled program block, N002, Z02, Z9140, Z40, etc. Z02 and Z91 refer to, what is this? This is going to give us circular interpolation in clockwise direction and incremental dimension. So please check the wordings carefully, friends. So the answer is this one, it is C. Circular. There are various types of interpolations are there, and the direction is also very important, whether it is clockwise or anti-clockwise, and incremental dimension. So all these are in a particular order. In an interchangeable assembly, shafts of size 25 mm minus 0.0010 plus 0.40 mm made with holes of size 25 minus 0.010 plus 0.020. The maximum possible clearance in the assembly. What is the maximum possible clearance? It is the minimum shaft, maximum hole minus minimum shaft. Maximum hole minus minimum shaft. So maximum hole means minimum material, and maximum shaft means maximum material. The converse is true for the reverse wordings. So here, to get the maximum possible clearance, you should have a minimum dimension shaft and maximum dimension hole. So what is the clearance? So if you remove, if you do that simple calculation, you are going to get 30 microns. 30 microns. What is a micron? 10 to the power of minus 6 meters. Micron, 10 to the power of minus 6 meters. In determining the various forces on the chip, Merchant assumed that Merchant theory of tool machining is very, very important theory, friends. So here, various forces on the chip. So there are various types of chips are also there, like discontinuous chips, continuous chips, and continuous chips with BUE. BUE means built up edge. So Merchant, what is the assumption made by Merchant? So he assumed all these things. Cutting edge of the tool is sharp and it does not make any flank contact with the workpiece. Only continuous chip without built up edge is produced. Cutting velocity remains constant, etc. All are important. In order to achieve specific surface finish in a single point cutting turning, the most important factor to be controlled. So various factors are there, measuring factors are there. Depth of cut, cutting speed, feed are very very important. Of course, tool rake angle also sometimes plays a major important role. But which is important factor considering the specific surface finish of a single point cutting tool? Single point cutting tool is designated with 7 elements, with the last element being the nose radius. So other 4 elements are 6 elements are cutting edge angle, side cutting edge angle, rake angle, 2 rake angles, 2 clearance angle side, 2 cutting edge angles. Okay, so here the answer is B. Cutting speed is very very important for the surface finish compared to your depth of cut and feed. The factor responsible for formation of continuous chips with built up edge. So what is the factor? So it is low cutting speed and small rake angles. Low cutting speed and small rake angles. Both small, low and low. Like that you can remember very easily. So 4 combinations are given: L and L, L and S, H and L, and H and S. Like that. Right. The material which on machining produces chips with built up edge, BUE, which material produces this kind of chip? It is normally while machining ductile materials that we will get continuous chips with built up edge. There is a lot of difference between brittleness, toughness, hardness and ductility. These are 4 very very important mechanical properties. Brittleness, brittle materials do not go much deformation before failure. Tough materials, so they absorb lot of energy before failure. Hard materials, they resist scratches, and ductile materials, they undergo long deformation before failure. Very large deformation. A 15 mm drilling machine means that it can drill a hole. This is a good question, friends. It can drill a hole of maximum diameter of 15 mm. It is related to the diameter of the hole, neither the thickness of the blades or the cross sectional area, etc. So diameter is a important dimension here. The bending material used in cemented carbide tools. So what is this? It is cobalt. Cobalt is the binding material. Neither the tungsten nor chromium nor silicon. Tungsten and chromium, they are very very important for high speed steels, HSS steels. In those steels, so 18:4:1. Tungsten, chromium, vanadium. This is the percentage of these in the high speed steels respectively. In the relation Vt to the power of n is equal to C, the value of n for carbide tools. So this n is going to be different for different materials. Okay, here for carbide tools it is 0.252, sorry, 0.2 to 0.25. In the relation Vt to the power of n is equal to C, the value of n for ceramic tools. So try to have a rough idea. It is more here, 0.4 to 0.55. For machining a cast iron workpiece by high speed steel HSS tool, the average cutting speed, how much should be the cutting speed? It should be 22 meters per minute. So certain operations, machining operations and certain parameters like cutting speed and especially cutting speed is very very important. You have to remember them. For machining mild steel workpiece by high speed steel, the average cutting speed is, so here it is about the mild steel, it is 30 meters per minute. So you can increase. The specific cutting energy used for establishing the machinability of a metal depends upon what? They are going to depend upon all: coefficient of friction, mu, microstructure, work hardening characteristics. What is work hardening? So when a material is deformed, it will resist more deformation when still being deformed. So this is called work hardening. Work hardening is going to induce a lot of stresses in the microstructure, and microstructure is going to be badly affected with the phenomenon of work hardening. This is the phenomenon of work hardening. Microstructure means it can have any phases within the microstructure. Those are all called your microstructure, like various phases like martensite, then your truesite, okay, ferrite, cementite, all those are microstructure phases. In steel, the cutting speed of a drill depends upon what? Again, once again, D is the correct answer. Material of the drill, type of material to be drilled, quality of surface finish desired. The size of abrasive grain required in grinding will depends upon what? Once again, I think it is, but it is about B, hardness of the material being ground. So tool and workpiece are very, very important. So here it is going to depend upon the hardness of the material workpiece to be ground. What is that? The size of the abrasive grain. Okay. So your grinding wheel will be having abrasives inside that, and they have particular size, that's called abrasive grain size. So how much it should be? It should be for hard materials, it is going to depend upon the hardness of the material to be ground. Flank wear depends upon what? Flank wear. Flank and face wear, these are the two important wears, friends. Flank wear is going to depend upon amount and distribution of hard constituents in the work material. Face wear, flank wear. Flank wear is going to have more effect on the surface finish of the components resulted. Crack in grinding wheel is developed due to what? What is the main reason for that? It is the high speed of the wheel. Neither the low speed nor grinding hard work or high temperature developed at the contact of the wheel face and work. The machining of titanium is difficult. So these are the hard to machine materials, they are called. But why it is difficult to machine a titanium? So it is because of the low tool chip contact area. So if this particular low tool and chip contact area is more, probably the machining of a material would become easy. The angle formed by the leading edge of the land with a plane having the axis of the drill is called, this is a good question, friends. This is called your helix angle. This is called helix angle. Right. The obtuse angle included between the chisel edge and the lip as viewed from the end of the drill is called, what is this angle? This is called chisel edge angle. It's called chisel edge angle. Point angle is for a drill, it is 118 degrees, which is normally given in most of the examinations. Point angle. This is your point angle. Let us say, if this is your drill, okay, this is your point angle. This should be 118 degrees. Segmented chips are formed during machining. Segmented chips, or you can call them as discontinuous chips. When they are formed, that means when they are formed or while machining, which material they are formed? Cast iron. Cast iron is a brittle material, and while machining brittle materials normally, discontinuous or segmented chips are formed. When the cutting edge of a tool is dull, then during machining, what will happen? So during machining, continuous chips with the built-up edge. Once again, continuous chips and continuous chips with built-up edge. So these are the two variations in the continuous chips. So continuous chips with built-up edge is formed when the cutting edge of the tool is dull. So remember them. It will be very, very useful for you. In the oblique cutting system, the cutting edge of the tool may not clear the width of the workpiece. There is one more type of cutting system, friends, that's called orthogonal cutting system, in which it is 90 degrees. Normally we assume orthogonal cutting conditions. The velocity of tool along the tool face is known as, this is a good question, friends. It is known as chip velocity. Why? Because it is over the face that the chip travels. That's why it is called chip velocity. Shear velocity, cutting velocity, mean velocity. There is a simple relationship between shear velocity, chip velocity and cutting velocity. Please check your any production book. Which of the following operation is first performed? Is it spot facing, boring, tapping, or drilling? It is a drilling that which is performed first. Then all those are done. Tapping, boring, and spot facing. Spot facing is once again a finishing operation of the face, and boring is enlarging the hole. Tapping is also a type of surface finish operation. A diamond locating pin is used in jigs and fixture because why? It helps in assembly with tolerance on center distance. In metal machining, the work tool contact zone is a zone where heat is generated due to which reason? It is due to the burnishing friction. Burnishing friction. Burnishing is another operation, softening operation of the tool. The snag grinding is done. This is once again a good question, friends. Snag grinding is done to remove considerable amount of metal without regard to the accuracy of the finished surface. It's called snag grinding. The operation of smoothing and squaring the surface around a hole is known as. So all these operations, please remember them. They are very, very important. Spot facing, counter sinking, counter boring, tree panning, and spot facing. Normally, questions are asked between the difference between all these operations. The operation of making a cone-shaped enlargement of the end of the hole is known as. It is known as counter sinking. There is a difference between counter sinking and counter boring. So you should observe a word cone-shaped. Cone. Gear burnishing is a process for what? Why burnishing is done? It is done for surface finishing. Once again, I was telling you, friends, it is surface finishing operation. It is called gear burnishing. Circular gears, undercut gears, and these are not the correct answer. Remove residual stresses from teeth, roots, etc. Drilling is an example of, it is oblique cutting. Just as what I was telling you, there are two types of cutting. One is the orthogonal cutting, in which some angle is 90 degrees, but here it is oblique cutting. So uniform cutting, simple cutting are only given to confuse you. There are two types of main cutting operations, orthogonal cutting and oblique cutting. But drilling comes under oblique cutting. NC contouring is an example of NC. NC means numerical control. This is an example of what? This is an example of continuous path positioning. Continuous path positioning. In machining metal, cutting force at the cutting edge is measured by, this is measured by dynamometer. Dynamometers measure the cutting force, some force, any force. Wattmeter is used for measuring the, what is called power. Hydrometer, I think this is used for measuring the viscosity. And pyrometer is used for measuring the temperature. For example, sun, very high temperatures. Tree panning is performed for, once again, producing a large hole without drilling. Yes. So you have to underline without drilling. Of course, it is again used for producing a large hole. The tailstock set-over method of taper turning is preferred for, once again, there are various types of producing tapers on the work pieces. Okay, so out of which one method is very, very important method, that is tailstock set-over method. This is used for what? When it is preferred? It is preferred when long slender tapers are required. In metal arc welding process, the metal transfer across the arc may take place by method of material transfer, where the metal transfer across the arc is in larger drops. This is at the rate of 100 drops per second or less. What is this known as? This is a good question, friends. It's called dip transfer. Dip transfer. And in relation to this, globular transfer is also important. Spray transfer is also important. GMAW, it is not related with any with the process described over here. A fine grained grinding wheel is used to grind which type of materials? Hard and brittle materials. Hard and brittle materials. So you can make 4 combinations: hard, soft, brittle, ductile. So hard, brittle, soft, ductile. Hard, ductile, soft, brittle. A coarse grained grinding wheel is used for what? It is for soft and ductile. Both soft and ductile. So these 2 questions are important questions. When the end of a tap is tapered for about 3 or 4 threads, it is known as, what is this? It is known as second tap. Second tap. Which one of the following is a solid state joining process? It's a good question, friends. Is it GTAW, resistance spot welding, friction welding, or submerged arc welding? This is friction welding. It is solid state welding process. Others are liquid state joining processes. Others, because metal is molten in others. The angle between the lathe centers is a good question, friends. It is 60 degrees. Lathe centers, dead center and live center. Live center is the place where we insert the workpiece into the chuck, and dead center is where we have a tailstock. Between these two, your job is held. The taper on the lathe spindle is, once again, a good question. It is 1 in 20. 1 in 20. What is the meaning of this? In the 20 mm, there is going to be 1 mm decrease in the dimension along the length of the piece or workpiece or bar or whatever it is. In dash operation, the cutting force is maximum when the tooth begins its cut and reduces it to minimum when the tooth leaves the work. What is this? It is down milling. So once again, there's a basic difference between up milling and down milling. They are given some different names also, friends. So please concentrate on these 2 milling processes. And also, of course, you may refer to face milling and end milling also. One last question. In a single point turning operation with a cemented carbide and steel combination having a Taylor exponent, that means n is equal to 0.25, if the cutting speed is half, then tool life will become, it is going to become 16 times. It is going to become 16 times. So it is made. So n is becoming 1/4. So it has to be multiplied by 64. 16 times. This is once again a good question, friends. So in this video we have seen 50 questions from your production engineering, production technology. So which covers in which this syllabus is covered. So we have covered some syllabus. Good amount of syllabus we have covered in this video from your production engineering point of view. In the next video we are going to see some more important questions from your examination point of view. DS Genco to be conducted on 31st March 2024. Let us meet in the next video.